Right, it's that time again. It's ShrimpNet, the podcast of the Shrimps Trust. Thank you for listening or watching on the Tinterweb. I have to say watching because loads of people now telling me that they watch it on YouTube. So all my tics of picking my nose and stuff like that, people can see that. But then I'm just telling people who can't see it. So there you go. This week, the real world has actually got in the way of this humble podcast. So joining the Chuckle Brothers today, we have one guest rather than the usual two. Nobody was available from the board, as they're all, on the rare occasions, they're all busy doing other things, which is fair enough. But we feel we've more than compensated for that by giving the floor to our crazy custodian, Connor Ripley. Welcome, Connor.
Cheers, guys. You're right.
Yeah, not so bad. So, first of all, let's start as we mean to go on. Obviously, family stuff got in the way last week and you couldn't make it. So the first question I was going to ask you this week was, what happened with Alfie May against Cheltenham?
No, it was a crazy one, wasn't it? I mean, the way he was acting, it was just winding me up a little bit. So I could just see him going around Jacob trying to get that ball, and he was like, just wasn't leaving him alone. And I'll get he was down, but for God's sake, just get on with it. But he was, can't say politely, he was pissing me off, to be honest. So I just decided to pick him up and just say, right, piss off.
He came and whispered something in your ear, didn't he, after you'd put him down?
Yeah, he did. He came.
That's not repeatable, then, is it?
No, you can say. I'll just say. I just won't tell you what. I won't say the swear words. He just came up to me and said, "You do that again, I'm gonna bite your cheek off." And I was just like, all right, then. I was like, good. And then he came back for seconds, didn't he? And said, "I'm gonna absolutely smash you." And I just looked at him. Listen, I'll give you one chance. I'll give you one chance to. So that's when, if you remember, I wasted time.
Yeah.
And I had the ball at my feet, and I was waiting for him to come to me, and I got it about a yard away from me, so I picked it up and I said, "That was your chance. That was your chance." And then he just run out. I got sub 10 minutes after.
What cracked me up was that the fact that, like I say, Jacob Beddoe was looking at him like he was like, go away, like a fly or a wasp. He was like, go away. And you wandered across, picked him up, moved him. But then when it all died down, you were taking the free kick and you turned around and faced the home stand and were just laughing your head off. You were just laughing. You were trotting back to the ball like, it's just genius.
You get them funny times. Like, there's times on the pitch where you can just, all you could do is laugh. So like, when that happened, it was a funny situation. I don't normally go around picking up men and moving them, but
are we allowed to say midgets?
No, that's why I stuck with men. No, I don't normally go around picking people up and moving them, but he was just annoying me, and he deserved it, so I just had to do it.
It was all over Facebook, wasn't it, Joel?
Yeah, and I'm sure you might have seen a bit of it. There's people having a lot of fun on social media about it. But I thought Jacob wasn't even being that annoying, because sometimes people can be very, very annoying with time wasting. But he just gone over to pick the ball up. He hadn't dropped it or anything.
No.
He was just trying. He just knew. Alfie just knew that Jacob would have took his time a little bit longer by holding onto the ball, passing me the ball, but. Like, him running over, getting the ball, he would have probably got the ball. He would have ran to the 6-yard box and put the ball down, and I would have just moved the ball the other side to where Stephen was. But it was like, just don't bother.
Oh dear! It was a quality moment, but importantly, obviously, he scored the equaliser with their only shot on target that day. It was a strange game, that one, because, and we said it last week, and the fact that both sides scored goals from the opposition's set pieces. They broke away. We scored the winning goal from their, Kieran scored the winning goal from their set piece, and they scored from our set piece. And it was a strange sort of game, but they looked a bit better side than Burton or Accrington. They looked quite composed at one point, didn't they? It was a tricky game.
Yeah, it was kind of more of it wasn't as exciting as the other games, but the only thing is that we knew they had that sort of quality to that little pass that they've got, and they produced it really. And Cooney was just on the wrong side of the ball, and he was a great pass, and and fair play to Alfie. He buried it in the bottom corner. The only annoying thing for me, I knew where he was going, but I wasn't expecting him to hit it that hard, to be honest. Because normally they try and press it around you, and he's proper got hold of it. So fair play to him. It was a good goal, but we showed resilience and we showed some character again, and I think that's what's been building over the past few games, that we've been showing that we're not a team that's just gonna lie down and take it. So we've just literally we done really well over the past few games. It's annoying that we couldn't go to Cambridge and carry on the momentum, but we are hoping that we can do it on a Saturday against Port Vale.
It's a strange one.
Like in, what was it like in the change rooms at half time against Cheltenham? Because obviously, I think we've had setbacks before. I think when teams have come back into it before, we've gotten that second goal ahead, and that's kind of been a bit of an issue this season. But I think in that first half overall, we played really, really well. And obviously, Kieran's had that really good overhead kick that was saved, and there's been a couple of other decent chances. And then we have that setback right before half time. But what was great just watching from the outside in the second half, it didn't really look like the mindset had changed. It felt very much like, all right, oh, crap, they scored. Well, let's go again. Went at them for another 10 minutes and got a goal. So what was the kind of mood in the changing room then?
I think it's one of those ones where if we played that game in the first 5 games of the season, we would have capitulated. We wouldn't have been able to have coped going in like that. Was it 1-0 or 1-1? I can't even remember.
It was 1-1, but we dominated.
1-1, but we dominated. Yeah, we dominated. But what it was is that normally we'd have been like, oh, all that work for nothing. But when we realised, like, we would have been happy coming in at 0-0, but it's just a different scoreline of 1-1. You're still drawing, but we've come in, and you know what? The difference I can't really. The difference from the first 10 games or 10 to 11 games to these past few other, I don't know, 13, 14 games, is that we have literally gelled as a team, and we've realised that we are actually a very good team, and we don't need to be bothered by teams scoring, or if we're down, or if they've just got a goal back. And it's one of those ones where we don't have to be worried about it. And we came in at half time and we were thinking, right, here's what it is. We've absolutely battered them. We know that we can go out at the second half and carry on doing what we're doing, and we should win. And you know what? Like I said, it just showed a bit of character about the boys, and we got the win.
And it was, like you say, quite annoying, really. Unfortunate set of circumstances with the high winds ripping sort of like bits of the roof off at Cambridge. And obviously it was decided fairly early that wasn't going to go ahead. And the gap would be...
I'm sure there's something more to that.
Oh, go on. Yeah, what? You reckon because they hadn't got any signings in?
I'm sure of that.
Come on, this is why we've got you on. Tell us what you think.
You trying to try and get him in trouble?
No, I'm not trying to get him in trouble. I know Connor knows what he's saying, so you know.
No, trust me. I'll get myself into trouble, not him. But the way I looked at the damage, there was only a bit of the roof missing. Surely that could have been replaced and fixed. But I'm sure that Cambridge are looking at us and thinking, Jesus, they just won 3 on the bounce. The tails are up. We're struggling. We don't really want this. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. And I just feel like they were just a bit like, this isn't the right time to play Morecambe. And we have an excuse now not to play him. That's pretty much most of the opinion of most of the lads in the dressing room. And that shows as well that we have now got that belief that teams are starting to be a bit worried about us.
Yeah, could be right.
Yeah, that sense of backing yourself, and I think we've seen that in the last few games, really, haven't you? You know, coming back from against Cheltenham, and then the relentlessness against Burton Albion, just to keep going at them, and then being able to hold on over the second half against Accrington. You know, it really does seem like there is that team spirit building. But yeah, just with Cambridge though, I suppose the one other blessing is maybe we didn't have Phillips. We're not sure if we would have had Cole. So
yeah,
maybe.
You'd have been centre forward, Connor.
Yeah,
after, like I said, well, I'd do a bloody good job up there. I think wouldn't be able to move about like I could pin a few people and lay it off.
That's what we need. If Cole's injured, to be fair, we just need someone to go up there, pin it, lay it off. Now we've got
Smithy in goal and then you up front.
Yeah, I think I'd do a job. I think I'd do a job.
Caleb, what's buzzing around you, running in behind? Be a dream pair.
Yeah, actually, you could practice what you've already started with Alfie Bain. You could pick Caleb up at corners and get him up for headers. Just to play devil's advocate for a minute, I'm just looking at the pictures of the Cambridge stand. You're quite right. It did look like only one piece. It was a rather big piece, but having done commentary from that stand, it is a sort of 1950s, early 1960s stand, and the roof is asbestos, and you need a specialist company to either repair or work with it because they need scaffolding, health and safety, blah blah blah. So I know there's a lot going on because you can't even a asbestos roof on a garage roof. Say it was your garage from a 1930s house, you can't touch it. You've got to get a specialist company in. So maybe that is, I'm not suggesting it is an excuse.
That's just my. I mean, if Chelsea were coming to there on an FA Cup night, I'm guaranteed be going ahead.
Oh yeah, they'd have got it on without a shadow of a doubt, and that is a fair point. But so
definitely that.
So the gaffer being the gaffer, he said to you, right, scrap trading Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just go and have a nice weekend, lads. Did he?
Yeah, of course he did. He said, "Get yourselves off." Full all expenses paid. He said, "I'm paying for you everything."
Now, the gaffer listens to this. So do you want to tell me the truth now?
I'm waiting for him to pull me now. No, you know what? He was all right. We found out Friday. We found out Friday after training, and he said, "Right, come in Saturday, off Sunday, in Monday." And you know what? It was fine. We can't have too many days off. You know what I mean? We can't have continuous days off. So it was fine. We got in. We had a good session, and then we had the day off on Sunday to spend with our family. So it wasn't too bad.
And then obviously, as Joel's already said, we were probably short. Sad news with Kieran having to go back for treatment at Huddersfield, but it's the right decision for him as a young man with his career ahead of him. But I want to chat a little bit about Kieran because he's made a big impact both on and off the field, and he will be missed, won't he?
Yeah, he was a top lad as well. You know, on and off the pitch, he was a great lad, and he will be missed because he was getting into his stride. You know, he was starting to score goals. He was starting to really link up really well with Cole and the other players around him. Unfortunately, as you know, football can be cruel sometimes, and it was just a freak, it was like a freak injury really. The ball was in between him and Gibbo, and they both went up with the legs high, and next thing you know, he snapped his hamstring. So he's it was nasty to see actually, because you kind of knew as well. You could see how he went down, and then he started crying, and you just think, oh my God, I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. Like, but he was upset. He was really upset because he hasn't had the best of times with injuries.
No.
And he was getting into a really good flow. And I tell you what, he looked like he was going to become a menace to most teams. Yeah. And then all of a sudden that happened, and I felt really sorry for him because, you know, I get along with Kieran, and, you know, the way we were speaking, and you know, I took him back to the stadium whilst everyone else was training. I took him back in my car, and the way he was just talking, he was like, I think it's just done. I think he was really upset about it, and I was just really I felt sorry for him, really.
It's a horrible situation because as everybody knows, professional sportsmen, the worst time is when you're injured and you're sort of like, you know, you can't do the training, you don't have the banter with your teammates, etc., etc. And he'd had a great start and then a bit of a quiet period. But I say quiet period, but he may not have been tucking the chances away, but he was still doing the hard yards. And I know, like, he hit the post at Lincoln when it maybe should have gone in, and he obviously hit the bar for his where did he hit the bar?
Cheltenham, near enough.
Cheltenham, near enough. Yeah, I was Forest Green. Yeah, so you know, basically he'd done the hard yards, and it was starting to pay off because you know, Derek has changed, and he changed the system slightly, put two up front. And obviously Kieran was the one sort of like going far, and Cole was coming towards the ball, and blah blah blah. And it's just for a young lad, it's got to be dispiriting, that, Joel, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, like you say, he was really hitting some form, and the goals were coming, but his and kind of tying in with that, his all-round game was just hitting a really good level. I thought, you know, like you say, when he's playing alongside Cole, he's that person dropping linking play, but also kind of peeling off to running behind and doing all that kind of stuff. Then the next game against Cheltenham, he's playing with Caleb as a partner up front, and then he changes roles slightly differently, maybe taking on a little bit more responsibility as a kind of main centre forward, doing that more kind of, you know, lead the line kind of play while Caleb does the buzzing in behind, and he's done both jobs really well. I thought, especially for such a young forward, his all-round kind of game, like he could, obviously he's not quite Cole Stockton at pinning people, but he could get stuck in with, you know, some big centre-backs in this division and give him a good bit of a tussle and bring the ball down, bring others into play, like you said, running behind, good finisher. So, like, yeah, it's a real shame, you know. It must be a right up to his confidence, but he's proven a lot in this half season with us, and I'm sure that everybody at Huddersfield will see what he's done and be impressed by him, and hopefully whatever happens next season he'll be able to kick on.
And I think it is a shame because he was just starting to get that confidence that comes from scoring a few goals and having a good run of form, and that was epitomised in that overhead kick, wasn't it? Which was absolutely fantastic. But the keeper did well. Credit to the keeper because it was a good save. But that was a fantastic overhead kick, and that actually for us that was pretty good because it actually, even though we were last on the ITV highlights, even though there was only League One and League Two, we were still last on. They're marvellous at doing that, aren't they? But they actually did show the overhead kick and the save from the keeper, which made a change, Joel.
Yeah, and I think like you say, you can see. I think what they always say about like one going in off your arse, but it was trickled in off his knee after some bizarre defending from Cheltenham. Sorry, not Cheltenham. Sorry, Burton. That's the goal that's kind of kicked on that little kind of spurt of form around now, and you know it's gone off his knee, and then in the second half he's gone in behind and just poked a really nicely weighted lob past Garrett. So you know he quite clearly had that little bit of confidence, and his performances on the up. So yeah, it's a real shame to lose him at this point. But like you say, you know, the overhead kick, it does show that you've got a bit of a panache about and confidence about you at that certain time to try it, and he pulled it off as well. It didn't look like a shinning. Sometimes it can be a bit of a shin, like overhead kicks, but looked like he caught that one nicely too.
You fancy an overhead kick, Connor?
Oh, I'd smash into a million pieces if I'd done that.
I admire your honesty. But anyway, the point being is that obviously Kieran's bad luck and him returning to Huddersfield is an opportunity for somebody else. And Greg and Derek between them have managed to organise the second coming of Mickey Mellon. When I read it first, I didn't see the picture, and I thought, Mickey Mellon, he's got to be 50. And then I realised it's his son. I was like, oops. What's he look like in training then, Connor? Any good?
Yeah, so the first time I've seen him train today, and he's a quiet lad, but he's I think he's about 6 foot, and he looks like he's got a proper baby face on him, and but I tell you what, he looks technically really good on the ball. His positioning is really good as well, and I tell you what, he scored a couple as well that we watched, and I was thinking he can find the back of the net. So to be honest, I think, even though Kieran's left, and it's a shame, like you say, it's an opportunity for a young lad who's trying to make his way into football. So hopefully he can grasp his chance.
So what's his nickname? Honeydew?
He hasn't got a nickname yet. We'll find a nickname for him. But right, he has to speak more than 2 words at the moment. He hasn't spoken yet. He's a bit shy at the moment, but we'll bring him out this year, I think.
Do you not have some sort of initiation? The past regimes have always had like popping your head out of a dustbin and doing a song or something like that. Not have anything like that?
No, you know what? We actually haven't had any initiations. I don't think the gaffer really enjoys the initiations, but we're.
It's not down to him. It's down to you. You're club captain.
Listen. We would, but it's normally you do it on an away game, and they're in the hotel, and they've got their bloody knife as a microphone, and they're stood on the chair and stuff like that. But I'll get something sorted. I'm gonna have to embarrass him somehow.
There we are. Well, yeah. When you've decided what it is, you come back and tell us what you've done. So moving on to Saturday. Bizarrely, we've now, because of circumstances, this will be the 4th home game on the trot. Now, as we all know, we've won the other 3. So no pressure, Joel.
No, not at all. And I think I what I mentioned a bit earlier on in Derek's interview with the radio, but it is probably the harder one out of the 3 out of all 4 we've got over this past month. And obviously we've seen Port Vale when we played them on Boxing Day, and I thought, it's interesting that they didn't like blow me away as a side, but they're pretty solid. They've got a little bit of quality here and there, and they're tough to break down. I thought they were very tough to break down at their place, and I think we might have edged it for about 60 minutes, which I know isn't necessarily a popular opinion among the fan base. I think we did edge it for about 60 minutes against them at their place, and we've kicked on since that point. And it's interesting to look back on that game, because it wasn't even a month ago, that game at their place. So, and things do feel like they've changed quite a lot. And I was kind of thinking about Derek's interview after that match, actually, in that he said he was really pleased with the performance. And just looking at what he's kind of what's changed from then to now, I think he's made a slight little formation tweak. That was more of a 3-4-2-1. Now it's 3-5-2. A little bit of a change in personnel at wing back. Although I think part of what's helped kick on over these last few games as well is we've had wing backs who kick on a bit, who kind of drive up the pitch, and I think Don Love does that, to be fair. I think Love and Cooney both are able to do that. Now we've got Melbourne. Well, he was fit at the time. I thought Melbourne was our best player against Port Vale, I thought. And then Mayor's come in and done a really good job there. So we've got a bit more width in attack now as well. And I think Derek saw things like that. He saw Gibbo in centre midfield, and obviously was pleased with how he did. And I thought he played pretty well against Port Vale as well, Gibbo. So it feels like he's seen kind of things in that performance. And while the result didn't turn out as we wanted it to, ultimately he's seen things, he's tweaked it a little bit, and we've been able to take that forward into the next few games. So yeah, it's interesting how we've come on from that point. I don't know what your perspective is on it, Connor.
I think from, like you're saying, from last time we played them, I tell you what's going to be a bit different is probably the pitch.
Pitch, yeah, exactly. The pitch was crap, wasn't it?
I honestly, I couldn't kick on that pitch. I couldn't plant my foot. Every time I was planting my foot, the pitch was giving away, and I just couldn't do anything on that pitch. But pitch is going to be big. It was going to be a bit different. But like you say, I think when we lose a game and the manager comes out and says, "You know what? I thought we'd done really well," a lot of people will look at that and think, "What is he on about? We've just lost." But like you say, Joel, we battered them for a good big portion of the game. I think we looked in control. We had chances. Max hit the post, and then all of a sudden, 10 seconds later, they scored. Do you know what I mean? It can change like that. But from that game to where we are now, our last 3 games, we've won 3 on the bounce, and now all that's going to do is our confidence is going to go through the roof, and that's how it feels. And we feel like whoever comes to the Mazuma is going to have a difficult night, especially the way we're playing. And I honestly believe that it's going to be difficult for Port Vale to come away with anything, because our confidence is that high, and that we believe that we can beat anyone. And even if you just look at the other games, like we've played Ipswich, Pompey, Derby, we've played really well against top teams. And I think Ipswich really have only come away with something that was like in the top. So it's definitely something that we can take away. And I think how many games is it we're unbeaten? I think it's 7
games now, isn't it? Yeah.
That's a good record. That's 7 games unbeaten at home is extremely good. So, like you say, we're on the up at the moment. And I feel like we've got that momentum, and all we have to do is carry it on.
Well, it's understandable you've got confidence. We've scored 9 and conceded 1 in the last 3 home games, and that this is a really strange and quirky stat. Is that we'd only actually I don't know what happens with the toss of the coin, because the last 3 home games we've kicked towards the home end in the first half, and before those 3 home games, we'd scored 1 goal in that end, and that was against Ipswich, and that was Kieran Phillips, and that was the only goal we'd scored all bloody season in front of the home end. And I had a mate come, and he came against Accrington, and he went, "Oh, it's the first time I've been this season." I said, "Yeah, I thought I hadn't seen you." He said, "How we've been doing?" I said, "Well, don't expect to see much down this half," because, and then of course, what happened? Accrington, did they change us round, or did you change us round? What happened?
It was me. It was all me.
Was it?
It was. Yeah. So, Aki, the wind was blowing a little bit, but I just thought, I really want to get Accrington out the way. I really want to get this first half out the way. I cannot be bothered second half with them blowing down the air. And I thought, you know what, we're going to change it. And I said to the gaffer, "Gaffer, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. If we're going to win, if we're going to win the toss, I'm changing sides." He said, "Right, go for it." I won the toss and I changed the sides. We won, and I thought, bloody hell, all right, okay, can't change it now. So I've done it again. So we changed it again, and again we won 3 on the bounce.
Yeah, so, and we've started scoring goals in the Barter card. I'm like,
I just, you know what, as well, I always said that in the second half, I don't want the away team to be attacking their fans. I always said that. I always think that gives them that bit of moment, like, just gives them something, because when they score, they just run to the fans like 5 yards away, and they're there, at the attacking end. And I thought, let's just change it up. We're at home. We've got the upper hand. Let's change it up. So I done it off my back. I done it off my own back, really, and it's worked. So I can't really change it now.
Well, so, I'm going to tell you, you've set yourself up now, haven't you?
I know, yeah, but there was other factors in it. Like, I've got to look at the wind. The wind, would I prefer to be kicking into the wind in the second half, or would I prefer to be kicking in the wind in the first half? And there's other factors about it, and it seems to be working. So I won't be changing.
No,
To be
no,
fair, we're really. I think in these last few games as well, we've really gone at teams in the first half. You know, we were in those first opening 30 minutes against Cheltenham. We were really, really good. And we were really going at them. Actually, in the entire first half, and then against Burton as well, we really had a go at them in the first half. And then obviously in Accrington, I think they had probably the better of the first 20 minutes. Accrington, but then after that, you know, we started putting together some really good attacks. So yeah, it feels like the game plan is almost kind of tied in with that. I don't know if that's planned.
I don't know. I feel like you know how I say I don't want the team to be attacking their stand. The Barcard's the stand where the noise comes from, and you know, we're that's our first attack is at the Barcard, and that's in like you're running towards your thousands of fans there. So and I thought, why not? It could work, and it's bloody works. So I'm not.
Yeah. But
I've had a few.
What happens if Port Vale win the toss, though?
Well, they won the toss. The last people they won the toss, and normally say, "Oh, we'll have kick," and normally you say, "Oh yeah, we'll just stick to." I just say, "Yeah, we're swapping sides. Yeah. We're swapping sides." So the last who did we play last? Cheltenham. And they said, "Oh, we'll have kick," and I was like, "Right, we're swapping sides." And we're swapping sides. So and the captain just like looked at me like, "What?" I was like,
"Yeah." That's a good system. That it's not supposed to work like that. But I like that. The ref let you get away with it.
Ripley, you know what I mean?
It's like, well, you cause heads and you've got the kick, so I call tails. We're swapping.
Yeah, I've had a few people message me on Instagram and Twitter saying, why are we swapping sides? And I couldn't say it. I couldn't like tweet, oh, this is why. So I'm glad you asked me about that. It's a weight off my chest. I can tell people what's going on.
Well, see, that's why we got you on, to give you that exclusive.
Oh.
So moving on from the Port Vale game, which again we know is going to be tough. But there's a really big ask coming up on Tuesday the 24th. The rearranged Ipswich Town game. We were supposed to play them actually the day we played Cheltenham a week last Saturday, because Ipswich were involved in the FA Cup. It's a tough place to go on a Saturday. It's a tough place to go on a Tuesday night. I mean, I was reading an article today about I don't know if you saw it, the top 20 wage earners in League One. And Barry Bannon was top with 21 grand a week. But there was.
I think that the article that the site that is based on, I think, is a bit dubious. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen a tweet from Doncaster today. Actually,
21 grand, but it won't be far off.
I mean, it'll be well and versed, but
I think he's not short of a few bob. But
yeah, probably not. But, well, the interesting thing was there was a couple of lads at Plymouth, and you know, as you'd expect, about 4 or 5 from Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah,
but there was a couple from Ipswich as well, and one of them being ex-Morecambe Leif Davis, who's obviously on loan there. So, but Ipswich,
they bought him.
Sorry,
they bought him.
Yeah, they have actually. They have bought him.
Yeah, we say that obviously at the end of the day that the wage stuff is stuff that we don't really know, and you know, these sites are pretty dubious, but by all accounts, it sounds like what we do know is that they paid around the $1 million mark for Leif Davis, and this January they paid around the $1 million mark for Nathan Broadhead. Yeah. Now that's £2 million on a couple of players. Obviously, we don't know what our wage budget is, but it's probably not far off our entire wage budget around there. So, you know, that kind of shows what we're up against.
I'm not setting us up that. I'm just pointing out that we're probably going to go to Portman Road. There's probably going to be 20,000 people there, and it's a massive ask. But given what you've just said, if we can get something at Port Vale, and like for instance, we're going there on the back of 4 straight wins, then it's like, well, Ipswich might be in for a bit of surprise, because we gave them a game at our place when we weren't winning, Connor.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, buddy, I can't really. Unless if an Ipswich fan is watching this, I'll probably get slated again. But if you remember last time, I said we've got to be horrible to play against, and
yeah,
we really were horrible to play against, and they struggled.
Yeah.
I think they got the win from the penalty, didn't they? And
we had that
disallowed goal as well.
Dylan Connolly goal.
And we had a goal as well. It wasn't an easy game. It wasn't a game where they've gone off the pitch thinking that was a breeze. They've gone off the pitch thinking, oh my God, that was hard, that. And that was early on in the season where we weren't really clicking and things weren't going our way. We're scoring goals now. Confidence is up. Why would we be that bothered? You know, people think we're going to lose. People already think Morecambe can't beat Ipswich away. So the pressure's not on us. The pressure's on them. The pressure's on them to produce 3 points. Our job now is to make sure they do not go back home with 3 points, and that's the way it goes. And I'm not really worried. They can have as many fans as they want. I'm sure we'll have a few. I'm sure we'll have a few fans. I'm not saying we're going to have hundreds, but we'll have a couple. But I'm sure they'll make the noise. And you know what? They clearly got a better budget than us. They've got better resources than us, and that's clearly going to be in their favour. But ultimately, our form is one of the best forms in the league right now, and we've just got to take that and take the belief that it's 11 men versus another 11 men, and we've just got to beat the person who you're playing against, and that's how I always feel. And that's why I always say, really, in the huddle, I say, you know, listen, you've just got to beat your man. If you are better than your man, we will come out with a victory. We'll come out with a win. And we've been doing it. So I'm not too worried. I'm sure I'll get in some stick off the Ipswich fan, but I'm not that bothered.
So looking at that, I like your positivity. I like to say if we manage to, you know, a difficult game against Port Vale, if we get something from that, then and get something from Ipswich, then really you're starting to, you know, you put some really good form in the form table. We'd be somewhere very, very near the top. And at this time of the season, it's the perfect time to do it. Like I said, a couple of things. Obviously, we've now got 4 gone out, 1 by accident and 3 deliberate, and two have come in, with a 3rd coming in today in Mr. Mellon. Could be room for 1 more, so we're here. But how's Danny Crowley done on in training?
He is an absolute player. He's an absolute player. Very, very nice guy. Fits in perfectly with the lads, you know, no problems. And I tell you what, you can see why he's played at a very high level, and he is going to be very, very good for us. That's how I feel. Just the way he has the ball, he demands the ball off people, he demands standards off people, and that's something that we need in the team as well. And yeah, he's a very, very, very good player. And you know, him and Jensen and Shawsey and all that, and Caleb, they'll be a very, very good midfield.
And he's been a good signing, apart from anything else, because obviously the average age of the outfield players against Cheltenham was 22. So yeah. He's a bit like you. He's not old, but he's going to be one of the elder statesmen.
I don't know. I think he's 25.
Yeah, exactly. What are you, 26?
Well, I know I look it like, but I'm 30. I'm 30 next month, so I'm getting on. But
notice I said the outfield player average was 20.
Yeah, I did notice that. Listen, he's got his head screwed on. He's got an old head already. He's married. He's got a kid. He's settled down. He's 25, but he's beyond his years. He's beyond his years, and
It's just about matching his haircut then.
Yeah. Listen, he's a very. I'm telling you now, he is a very good player, and like, and it's no disrespect to Morecambe. I can't believe we've got him. Yeah, the way he's the kind of player he is, I'm excited, and the fans should be very excited about him as well.
Well, I'll let you into a little secret. We spoke about him last week, and it's exactly what me and Joel said, isn't it? For your reason you pointed out last week, Joel. Tell him, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the he's done well. He's done all right in the championship with Birmingham a few years ago. I think what I noticed Derek tends to like to use the phrase in terms of like attacking players like Crowley. Like he kind of uses the phrase they can turn a game, which I quite like. And Crowley, just watching his highlight reel, he does seem like he kind of can just do little bits of magic or kind of drag the game in his direction that he wants it to go and make things happen.
Yeah. I think as well, you've got to have the players around you as well, especially you can't, and him, like I said, Jensen and Shawsey are very technical players. And you've then got Cooney on the right, you've got Adam Mayer on the left, they're bombing on. And now you've got Caleb who can run in behind. And they're the kind of players that can feed off them. And even Jensen, if Dan has the ball, Jens goes on that little mazy run as well. And I'm telling you, you've got to be excited about this kid because he's got something, and he's happy to be back in England. He's happy to just be playing football. And listen, from what I've seen, he's up there. He's up there.
Well, that's nice to hear. That is nice to hear. It's a positive one. So I want to come now to chat a little bit about you because I took notice of the New Year's tweet about you and your martial arts, but also the one sentence saying thank you to all the staff and fans at Morecambe FC for making me fall in love with the game again. So explain that.
Yeah, I think the I really did fall out of love with football when I was at Preston. I wasn't playing. I wasn't enjoying it. I was literally going in to train, going home, and I was to a point. I was depressed. I just didn't enjoy going to work, and I didn't enjoy. I wasn't a very nice person to be around because I just felt like my career was just falling apart at the time, and I needed somewhere to be felt wanted again, and that's a big thing in football. And I always say we're very egotistical beings, and us footballers, and we want to feel loved and we want to feel wanted by people, by the fans and by the club, and that's what Morecambe's done for me. And it's just brought out a kind of the player that I used to be, and that's I can't thank Morecambe enough, really. And it even though I've been here for 6 months or a little bit longer, I feel like I've been here for 5 years. I feel like I'm part of the club already, and the way the fans are with me, and especially with the staff, they really have made me fall in love with the game again. And the way I hope that the way I'm playing, it kind of shows the gratitude that I want to give to the fans and the staff.
Well, the only thing I'll say is I don't know how many weeks running you were in team of the week because our defence was that crap. We kept conceding shots from outside the box. But obviously you're in team of the week because you were making some fantastic saves. Obviously, Baz. I know that you look up to Baz as your coach, and I know he's done a lot for you, and he does the research on the penalties, and obviously he keeps you up to date. But having known Baz because he's been at Morecambe since he was, late 20s, and he's become a Morecambe legend. The one thing that Baz always said was keepers get better with age, and you're proving that, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we're all like a fine wine, aren't we? Supposedly, but no, it was funny. Baz is mainly is a really big part of why I've actually started enjoying the game again, and I say it in most interviews now. I don't think we would saved as many penalties or my performances would have been where they were if it wasn't for Baz. And he deserves so much credit. It's beyond belief, and the way he is. I would say, and I've worked with a lot of goalie coaches, and I'll easily put him up there with the top three I've worked with, easily. And it doesn't really mean the work that we do. It's the way he is, the aura he brings, the calmness, the way he makes you think. Shit, I'm sorry. I'm a good goalie. And you know what? It was probably the best way to describe it was he knows how to G me up in a way. When with the Plymouth game, he came up to me just before I was going in to get changed. He said, "Listen, these people think that Cooper's the best goalkeeper in the league. I'm telling you now, you are." And he says, "Go and prove it."
And you
And
did.
it's just kind of like, I was like, I'm going to show everyone now. Had that fire in the belly.
Well, I think they had 31 shots that day, so you were busy.
Yeah, I was pretty busy, but
yeah.
he's huge. He's instrumental to how I've been this season, and so is the Smithy and Andre. They've been in helping me and making me just getting back to where I was, because I was in a bit of a dark place last year.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's pretty much it's a unique position to be in as the goalkeeper, but because you're part of a team, you still need to be getting that, if you like, getting those 90 minutes in to get you into the groove. And the reason I say that is because obviously you started the season as first choice, and maybe 2 or 3 games in, obviously everybody on the stands we were talking about, what do you think of so and so? What do you think of so and so? And a couple of people were like, yeah, Connor's looked like he's got the makings, but he doesn't look so sure of himself doing this and that and the other. And that's changed completely now. I'm stood on the home terraces, everybody to a man says, "Oh yeah, Connor, it's all right. Connor will save that. Oh yeah, don't worry. Yeah, Connor will come and get that." You've convinced everybody through your performances, and that must be gratifying.
Yeah, 100%. Just hearing that it just puts a smile on my face. It's I would be the first person to say that the first couple of games I probably didn't show them what I'm about. I haven't played for 4 years, so I'd like to think that he's given me a little bit of a leeway. But as soon as you start playing game after game after game, you start realizing, right, okay, I'm starting to get my distances right, my kicking and my decisions right, and it just falls into place. And thankfully, at the moment, because it's still got about 20 games to go, I've just seemed to have got my confidence back, and that's what I needed, and that's what every footballer needs. Every footballer needs confidence, and you'll get the best out of any footballer if their confidence is through the roof. And me, like I say, me going to the bar card and them singing my name and clapping me, and we seem to have this thing where if I win, I give them a little fist pump and a cheer. They all cheer back, and we seem to have something going there. And I'm loving it at the moment. At the moment, I'm loving playing for Morecambe. I'm loving just just playing games and doing well for the club.
And it's lovely to watch, and it's the same with. And I say this because the home form has generally, our performances, barring 1 or 2 games, have been fantastic at home. And the crowd have always appreciated that, because there's been times when we've trudged off the pitch, like, for instance, the Sheffield Wednesday game, when we competed for 70 minutes and then they scored 3 from set pieces, and all of a sudden it flattered them. But they're a good side. But you still got clapped off the pitch. And that's the same for every single player. And that's the good thing about the home crowd, and the fact that you give your all, and if you give your all, they all appreciate that, and that's why you're building that rapport. And that's not just you; that's the whole team.
No, yeah, definitely. You know, the fans have been great over the season. You know, I think the fans realise that we ain't going to win every game. Yeah. We're not going to win every game, but as long as the boys give 100% and we're willing to do anything to win, they will appreciate it. And we've realised that. And you know, even against MK Dons, where we got battered 4-0, we were still getting clapped off. And I normally we're getting booed off at any other club, but we were getting clapped off. And I was just thinking, how are we getting clapped off here? You know, we've just lost 4-0 here. But
we're all as mental as you. That's the problem.
But it just seems like that the fans seem to be really happy that we're in League One. Yeah. People say we're above our station. We're doing well, and they're happy to be there. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of including yourself, a lot of people who have watched Morecambe in the conference, in lower leagues, and they've worked their way up to League One. And enjoy the ride. This is it. This is where you want to be, and just enjoy it. And that's what they're doing. So I can't fault them.
I certainly am. But there's a sort of togetherness, isn't there, though, Joel? I mean, you know, you've been watching it most of your life, and there is a togetherness that seems to pervade at the club, doesn't there?
Yeah, I think looking back over the years, there is. I think we have managed to pass down something of a culture of backing your players through when times get a bit hard. And I think we have managed to carry on that culture of understanding, like you said, Connor, those kind of non-league routes that we've come from, and how we've worked through the leagues, and understanding our kind of financial position as well, in comparison to a lot of the other teams that surrounded by. And like you say, enjoy the ride. And you know, we're not going to win every game at all, and especially now we're in League One. But you know, we're playing, like, you know, Derby and Sheffield Wednesday, which is great fun, and I get the odd tonking. At the same time, we're putting up competitive performances for a lot of these games, and we can appreciate, and you know, we totally do appreciate the efforts going in. And yeah, for a long time, you know, you've always felt that nice affinity with players, and I think we've had players come here as well in the past who've kind of had a bit of a turnaround in their careers. They maybe kind of, like, you know, kind of like they were a little bit lost maybe before. I remember, like, when Jamie Devitt, when he first came here, I think he alluded to it. He was a bit out of sorts with the game. Sam Lavelle more recently, you know, he was considering dropping out. You know, I think just trying to think of a few others, but my mind's gone blank. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So like,
Tom Barkey was playing fullback at Blackpool.
Yeah, and obviously come from the messy situation at Blackpool. I mean, in fairness, actually, when he came to the club, it was actually quite a messy situation in terms of ownership as well.
True, yeah.
But there was that kind of atmosphere around the club where we're able to put a bit of an arm around his shoulder and boost him up and give him the support to be the player that he can be. And you know, I like to think that we do that with a lot of people, and it's really great to hear that it's kind of working out with Connor now.
And to be honest, Connor, and I do say this with the greatest of respect, that performances that you've had, particularly in the last sort of 2 or 3 months, are getting you noticed. And if a big team comes in, there won't be one of us that goes, "Oh, well, that's just bloody typical." We go, "Yeah, good luck to you." We appreciate that's our role as a club. That if we get somebody who's performing really well in their position, that they are going to further the career. We know that we're lucky to have Jensen and Caleb and Liam Shaw and Cian Phillips, etc., etc. but we also appreciate that people come to us, and like we had obviously Greg Lee as a fullback last year who's gone on to better things. We knew that's what was going to happen. If he was going to show any form at all, somebody with more money was going to come in for him. And your performances, if that happens to you, good luck to you, mate, because the simple fact is you reap what you sow, don't you? It's a short career.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one where you enjoy your football that much. If someone comes in, is it the right one, or is it the money right? But like you say, it is a short career, and I've got a family to look after and stuff like that. But by all means, I'm not looking anywhere else at this moment in time. I'm looking at Port Vale on Saturday. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not really searching for anything else. So, I know that my performances they've been all right at the moment, and I know there's people looking at me and watching, but we're not actively doing anything. I'm just enjoying my time here, and like I said to you, I think it just shows to you both that I am enjoying my time here. I'm really enjoying it, and that I don't think that's really going to change over the course of the next few months. So I'm just like I'm enjoying the ride as well as you lot. So I'm just going to carry on working hard, and if anything comes along, I've got to have a sit down and have a chat with pretty much.
We understand that obviously if opportunities come along, but we'd still slag you off on the podcast because you're our favourite guest.
I wouldn't expect anything else, to be honest. So,
do you remember when Connor came in with that stupid haircut, Joel? Go on. Just before we finish off and go about the trust stuff, what's the haircut about? Tell us.
Yeah, so I have a friend who plays for Bristol Rovers, Nick Anderson. He got diagnosed with cancer, and the Bristol it's been noted that Bristol lads have got their hair shaved. Me and Joe Lumley, the Reading goalkeeper, we're good friends with Nick, and we decided to shave our heads off and just to show a bit of solidarity with him, just to say that we're thinking about him, that we love him a lot as well, and he's going through a lot at the moment. He's just had a baby boy. He was born last week, and he's got a little girl as well. And cancer's a horrible thing. I've had a few family members who have died because of cancer, and it's not nice. So I just wanted to get it done, and even though I enjoy my hair and I enjoy the quiff and everything else, but it's not that. It's just to show that that we're thinking about him, and that it is for Nick. And there's a GoFundMe page that for Nick, because he ain't a Premier League player. He hasn't got millions in the bank, and he's got a family and wife and kids to provide for. So if anyone who's listening, if they can, I'll try and post it on my social media, and hopefully if people can even donate £1 or anything, just anything to help him in this time, and we would really appreciate it.
Well, it's a really noble gesture, and it's a great cause. And the good news for you is that yours will grow back. My excuse is I'm just old.
But to be honest, when they cut it, I could see the wing backs have bombed on a little bit more than I really. So,
hey, you've got a long way. You've got a long way to go. But then you've got
yours are on the bench. Mine's just bombing down the wing.
But then again, you're half my age, so there you go. That's the way it is. There you go. Yeah, I gave up on mine a long time ago. My missus cuts mine. We spend more on the dog's haircuts than they do on mine. Right. Finish off. Yeah, I don't think you've got any trust business, because you said there was nothing really to talk about, Joel.
No, that was my memory just being terrible. No, we had a meeting last night. Actually, we went over quite a lot. What's nice is we had a little bit of feedback about, actually, while Connor's here, it's actually worth mentioning, bit of feedback about the Christmas party that was spoken about when the players came along, and they were fantastic with the kid. I wasn't obviously, but they were fantastic with the kids. All the members of the trust were really happy. Ben Sadler was really happy with how it went, and it sounded like it was, a really nice thing to do. I think there was some kind of like little dances that were going on and stuff, and the players were joining in. I think the kids were having a great time, and it sounded like it went really well. So that was a big success. Obviously, we've got the quiz night on the 18th. That will be taking place after the Peterborough game, and so come along to that. That'll be really good. Hopefully, we'll have some nice raffle prizes to auction off. We've managed to come across some shirts that might go down well. They might be raffled off there. They might go to an auction at some point. We're kind of working out how best to deal with those, and we're also just in general, there'll be a few more nights on over the next few months. I won't say anything yet because they're in different stages of organisation, but we should have something on around Easter, something maybe towards the end of the season as well. So there's plenty of stuff going on. So hopefully we'll be able to update you more as they all kind of get confirmed and organised.
So this has been ShrimpNet. I don't know what number now. What we on, a 2021, something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. And it just goes to show you that if you get the right guest, we don't need anybody from the board, despite the fact that they'll be listening to this. But when you get Connor on, time flies. We've done an hour there without even breaking sweat. It's easy, isn't it, Connor? Is it? Why are you saying that? We've had 20 minutes on you lifting Alfie May up, so that we can't talk about that every time, can we? But there you go. Connor, good luck on Saturday. Hopefully keep the run going. It'd be lovely to speak to you again later in the season when you've won probably the Player of the Month award again, and Shot Worker of the Month and whatever else you're in for. Haircut of the year, probably. I don't know. At the rate you're getting awards at the moment, there's bound to be something. But thanks for coming on, much appreciated. Joel, brilliant as always. This has been ShrimpNet. Join us again next week when we're going to talk about. I'm not tempting fate this week. I'm going to say we're going to talk about Port Vale and Ipswich positively. Thanks for listening.